Welcome to our fourth video on the history of North Africa and the Mediterranean. We're looking at a picture of the Trojan, one of the tribes of the Sea Peoples, and I just want to draw attention to these horned helmets for the Trojan because we're going to be speaking again about the Sea Peoples in this video. And notice also the statue with the horns, and this is from the island of Sardinia. So we're going to speak also about Sardinia in this video. Let's get to the first part of the video. We're going to speak about the Trojans, and can the Trojans shed any light on this picture also with the Sea Peoples? Okay, so let's start with Herodotus. Now, in this source, Herodotus is describing Libyan tribes in North Africa, and one of them called the Maxiyes. It says here, these claim descent from the men who came from Troy. So now we have Trojans connected with the Maxiyes, or the Libyan tribes. But remember, we're also thinking about the Berbers, because we have this mysterious people called the Berbers, and we're trying to trying to understand this mystery. Why are they so mysterious? And we've already seen some of the elements in our first few videos, connections with the biblical Philistines and also the Persians and Mycenaean Greeks. Now we've got a connection with the Trojans. Let's just explore this word Maxiyes. So there's a few different variations of how you can say it, even Mazikes. But it's a term related to for the Berbers of North Africa. And it might relate to this word Amazai, for how the Berbers actually refer to themselves. Let's just go see if we can find out what that means. Now this is disputed, but it may mean free man, or may have the meaning of noble. So maybe the Berbers refer to themselves as the noble ones or the free men. And this is something we're going to come back to in some later videos. So we'll have to try to remember this detail. We also see this word could be connected with the Egyptian term Meshwesh for a tribe of ancient Libyans. And the Meshwesh on the historical record is quite interesting. I've just highlighted this part here where it says during the 19th and 20th dynasties, the Meshwesh were in almost constant conflict with the Egyptian state. So Libyan tribes in conflict with the Egyptian state, but we're also thinking Berbers. If we go to a map, so we're just slowly starting to learn some of this history, and what we see is that there could be a very strong rivalry between Libya and Egypt. But now this country of Libya, these borders, is not the borders of ancient Libya. So we must remember that. So it's very interesting now that we also have a connection with the Trojans and North Africa, or with the Berbers. But what I'd like to do is look at a video that I was actually going to upload the other day, but I didn't upload it. And it just speaks about the history of the world every year. And what I want to do is just play you that video, and then we'll come back to just analyze it a bit. But think about what we've just read about this this conflict between Libya and Egypt. So you would think that there's a major rival to the west of Egypt, a major rival that's going to be causing a problem for Egypt in the ancient history. But then do we really see that in some of these videos that we watch on YouTube? So let me just bring this up for you. Okay, so it was a video that I recorded, so I'm just going to bring it up, and then I'll also bring in the sound. So if you just give me a second. So let me bring the sound in. It's only going to be about 2 minutes. We had a short discussion about the Holy Land. In this video, I would like to just remind us what we've been covering in the the last few videos, and then maybe having a visual representation, using this video might, yeah, might just explain and show in a nice way, what we're looking at. So just first, a disclaimer. We're using this video from the channel Oli Bai. It's called The History of the World Every Year. So this video is in the public domain, and we just want to make use of it for educational purposes. So thank you to the content creator for making this video available and that we can use it and learn from it. So what I want to focus on is we're going to go, at the moment we're at about 2000 BC. So we've gone back about 4,000 years. And what I want to focus on is how a lot of history is happening in this region here. Now, in our last few videos, we've been looking at this region from Libya to Morocco. So let's say from Egypt towards the Atlantic, but then also coming towards the Mediterranean. And then notice how, there's nothing really here at all as we go forward 1,000 years. So let's just go through this. Okay, so notice where a lot of this history is taking place. So we have, a lot of history centered in this region, and still we've had nothing added here on this video yet, and we'll go forward more. So we can see that we've gone forward about 1,000 years, and we've only got a small settlement here, which is Phoenician for Cadiz or Gadir in Spain. Otherwise, nothing's been added here for a large region, and also you can see even in Europe, there's nothing been added yet. Now, what? Okay, so if you think about that video and what we've just gone through, you wouldn't really get the impression that there was a major, or there could be major rivals to the west of Egypt, because there was nothing added, like we were speaking about, and we were saying about signs of civilization. So we'll refer back to that video as we go. Now, we were also looking at, we were working on a map to just see if, okay, so I'm back online. What I've done here, this is a map that is showing the tribes of the Sea People. We put some of the tribes of the Sea People on this map. Now I've added Maxiyes for the Libyan Berber tribe. Now this is not trying to be accurate in terms of where Herodotus was saying that the Maxiyes were. It's just to show that there's this Libyan tribe or this Berber tribe in North Africa that's connected with the Trojans. So I'll put Trojans there so we can see, we're going to try to see, are the Trojans involved in this with the history of the Sea Peoples? And we're going to try to see, can we find some connections with these tribes or these islands with the Trojans? So I'd like to go to a Sardinian tribe called the Ilienses and just read this part out here. Now this is going into more of the mythology, but it says, another myth tells that the old inhabitants of Ilium, better known as Troy, after the fall of the city established themselves in this part of Sardinia. So we have a connection with the Trojans and Sardinia. So I'll just update this map to show that we have a connection with the Trojans and Sardinia. But I would like to also speak about this Sardinian civilization before we go on to the next island, because this could be quite important. So it's called the Nuragic civilization. And what I want to say is, if you watch that video with the history of the world every year, you might not even know that this was here, because you think, you've watched that video, you've learned about the history, but there was nothing of ancient civilization in parts of Europe and also in North Africa. But let's just look at some of these pictures of what's going on in Sardinia. If you can see some of these pictures, look at the size of these stones and these stone monuments. So yeah, what's the true story here? I think there's another picture that I wanted to look at, and I've got this one in a bigger one so we can just get a better idea. Now this is a recreation of what this settlement may have looked like, but look at the dates, 1600 BC. So is this not signs of advanced civilization? But this is in Sardinia, and when we looked at that video, there was no empires or kingdoms for this point of history in these regions. So that's what we're saying. Is this really fair? Is it really the truth? Is it something that we're not being told, or what's going on here? Okay, there was a part I wanted to read out from this page. Notice the statue that they're finding here with the horns again. So that's it could be a connection with the Sheridan. So we'll read this part here. According to Giovanni Ugas, the Sheridan, one of the most important tribes of the Sea Peoples, are to be identified with the Nuragic Sardinians. So if we just go back to those pictures again. So these are the Sea Peoples, and then we see the horns, and then when we come to Sardinia, we start seeing these statues with the horns. So a very interesting connection. And notice how this scholar is saying that the Sheridan should be connected with the Sardinians. So I think it's important just to make these points, because we put these tribes on the map, but we're not the first ones to come across this. This is not new. There are scholars that do connect the Sheridan with the Sardinians. So we're not alone with these connections. But isn't it amazing, this civilization in Sardinia? I wonder how many people are really aware of this history. So you can't say that that this information is hidden and no one knows about it. But what's the I don't know how to quite put it into words. It's like, well, I'll try to come back to that towards the end. Let's just keep going. So I'm trying to think how I want to phrase it. There was just one more thing I wanted to read about the Sheridan. So this is the picture that we used at the start for one of these tribes of the Sea People, how the Egyptians depicted them. I think there was one, this part here. This is the statue that we used at the start. The theory postulates a migration of peoples from the eastern Mediterranean to Sardinia during the late Bronze Age, was firmly rejected by Italian archaeologists like Antonio Tadamelli. So I just want to explain this. So remember in that video we said that there are connections with the Sheridan and the Sardinians, but they're saying that the origin is from the eastern Mediterranean. But we do have these archaeologists and scholars that actually reject that and say that the Sheridan were the indigenous Sardinians. And then when you see all this history and the civilization, you have to say that that could be very plausible, because they're finding bronze swords and daggers that date back to 1600 BC, and we see some of these images. So clearly there was an advanced civilization here, and that's what the scholars are saying, that we should be looking and considering the Sheridan. So very interesting. Let's keep going. Okay, I want to go to the mythology again and read this part here. It says, so this is a character in the mythology called Elymus, and it says he was the supposed Trojan ancestor of the Elymians, an indigenous people of Sicily in Greek and Roman legend. So we're not going into deep detail into this. It's just to show that the Trojans are being connected to some of these islands, and this one, Sicily. So what I want to do is just bring that one in as well. Okay, so we can just start to see maybe what I'm trying to look at here. Now the next one we're going to look at is the Teresh. Now I spoke about the Teresh and the connection with the Etruscan civilization. So the Etruscan civilization of Italy but then it's also going to be connected with these, these nearby islands like Corsica. But we spoke about the potential outside origin for the Etruscans with the mythology of Aeneas, the Trojan hero, and the founding of Rome. So we do have this connection with the Trojans and the Etruscans. So what I'll do is, I also want to bring that onto this page. So let me just delete some of these other tribes that we, just so that it's a bit better to, more visible. I'll just take some of those out the way. So I'm just asking the question. I can't say that I know for definite at the moment. I'm still exploring with you and researching myself as well. But could the Trojans be connected with the sea peoples? Because we can see how we have the Trojans connected with these islands, and also it looks like there could be a potential migration or an influence in this region with the Trojans. And it's interesting how we have this connection with these Mediterranean islands, but also we have the Trojans being connected with the Berbers and the Libyan tribes. So that's what I was. That's why I wanted to do this video on the Trojans, because just trying to look for a connection between North Africa and these islands, because remember we also looked at the sea peoples, and just trying to see how can we make sense of this, what can we find to link North Africa to these islands and these sea peoples, and maybe it could be the Trojans. So that's something that we'll have to keep in our minds and see what other information that we find. And there was one more thing for this video, and that was also with the mythology. We been looking at some of these famous sons of Zeus. So this is another one, Dardanus, and Dardanus is the founder of the Trojans, so the Trojan royal line. Just going to read this one little part out. This tradition holds that Dardanus was a Tyrrhenian prince. So we got Dardanus, the Trojan, or the founder of the Trojan royal line, being connected with the Tyrrhenians. Now, if you've been following our channel and these videos, you'll remember how we've been speaking about the Tyrrhenian Sea, named after the Etruscans or the Tyrrhenians. And now we have Dardanus, the founder of the Trojans, being called a Tyrrhenian prince. So we can see how the Trojans are being connected to these islands in this, if we say this modern day country of Italy. But then also interesting how with Herodotus, the Trojans being connected to the Maxies. And when we look at that, we see that it's being connected to the Berbers of North Africa. So the Trojans connected with North Africa, and also we're learning a bit more about this history with this rivalry between Libya and Egypt, so the Meshwesh. So could this also be like a Trojan conflict against Egypt? That could be another way of looking at it. So we're just exploring at the moment with this history. So remember, we're looking at this region, trying to understand this region, because it does seem very mysterious. But what other words could we think about? Maybe this history has been neglected or ignored, or is it just misunderstood? So what's happening? Why? If we look at those videos on YouTube about the history, this region seems to be ignored, or it's difficult to know exactly how to explain it at the moment. But just that maybe like a simple expression, like what's going on here, because it's not like it's not like the information is hidden away, like we were saying, because we're finding it now. It's not difficult to find this information. It's not hidden away, but we have this evidence of this advanced civilization in these regions like Sardinia, and I'm sure we can also find amazing things in North Africa. But it's like it's not being taught. Maybe I should say like in the Western world and the Western education. I don't know if it's being taught to us openly. Maybe you know what I'm trying to say, and I'm not explaining it very well, because the person that's done this video that we used, if I just go back to that to finish, the Just trying to think how I'm going to get that back. You know the video that we, let me just take the sound away so I don't mess up this video completely with foreign sound. Yeah, this video. So, you know, the person that's created this, it's obviously put a lot of time and effort into it, working with the information that's available, and also, you know, the narratives that, you know, that most of the world is going to follow. So it's not like we're attacking the, you know, the content creator, but it just, when you look at these videos, it raises a lot of questions and a lot of problems as well. And you get the impression that there's nothing happening here in terms of, you know, advanced civilization, but we're starting to see something different. So we'll keep exploring. What we're going to do in the next video is speak about the Medes, because we did look at that, you know, that mythology of Hercules in North Africa, bringing Persians and Medes and Armenians, and we looked a little bit at the Persians. But in the next video, I'd like to speak about the Medes. So if we get a chance to do those videos, yeah, maybe we'll see you there. So thank you for watching this one.